Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Making It Monday. Lizzy here, and you'll find me on Lizzy Curtis Facebook and Lizzy Curtis on YouTube as well. We've already got somebody from YouTube. That's Nicola. Hi, Nicola. Hope you're okay. I'll just get my YouTube up on my computer so I can see you. There we go. I'll get that in a sec. So, another Making It Monday. My goodness me, it comes around so quick, doesn't it? It really does. There we go, I've got it now. And yeah, so I'm just fiddling, you know what it's like. Let's get back to where I was. Yeah, so every Monday, obviously, at 7 o'clock, we do another project, and this time we're on project A2, which is Clippy, and I'll show you Clippy in a sec, but that's the pattern you'll get when you download it. Now, if you're a gold member, you know that you go to the gold members page, which is a private page on my website, and if you go to the projects page underneath that, that's where the Making It Monday projects are for January. So not too difficult to find, so I hope you find them. I hope you've already sort of downloaded it and you're ready. Maybe you've cut your pieces out. I'm going to not give any dimensions or any measurements at all, because obviously now this is a paid pattern, so I will be guarding that as a very close secret. But if you have bought the pattern, thank you very much. I've much appreciated. It keeps me going in the job that I do. If you're a gold member, thank you very much for being a gold member. It's lovely to have you on board, and it's always lovely to see you on the lives on a Monday, because obviously that's the time when we can get together, apart from our other Facebook lives we do in the gold group. So yeah, so we're making Clippy. And actually I was very much inspired, and if you read the details of the pattern, I was very much inspired by something I saw the other day from Jane Greenoff, and she's an embroiderer of world renowned, and she was showing off one of her sort of designs. It was actually created by somebody else, so she it was like a sort of third generation design in a way, and I liked the shape of it, and I thought, you know what, I think I can adapt this for our Making It Monday project, because on Clippy we've got pleats that we can put the clips onto, so the sewing clips, and so it kind of makes it very special to us, doesn't it? So Clippy is just lovely, and you can use just really small bits of scrap fabric to make it, so it's ideal for a quick make. It's ideal for gifting. Now the one I made, which is lurking under here, is made, well, actually it's brand new fabric, but I really wanted to use it. It's so pretty, and you can see it's quite an unusual shape. If I sort of turn it around, you can see what it looks like. You may well have seen this type of thing before, but I certainly haven't seen it as a clip holder. And so there's pleats running across it where your clips can hold on to. I have got a variation of that pattern. I wonder if that's up here somewhere. I saw it the other day. I have got a variation of this, is like a pouch with a clip holder sort of pleats along it, and I've put pins in mine as well, so I suppose you could use it as like a pin cushion, although that's not its intention, or you could make it into a pattern weight if that's the sort of thing. I mean, I think dressmaking is more for pattern weights, but prove me wrong, do it for your bag making if you want. And I think it stems from pattern making. Pattern cutting is because usually, traditionally, they're tissue paper, aren't they? And a bit of a devil to keep still if there's a little slight breeze. So a pattern weight is actually a good idea. I have, however, filled mine with lavender and a few recycled plastic pellets and a little bit of wadding. So by the time we get to the end, you'll see how on earth, or why on earth, did I use three different methods of stuffing. There is a reason. Now the lavender is available from House of Alistair. He does the most amazing bag. Let me show you. He does the most amazing bag of French lavender. It really, oh, this says Yorkshire actually, but normally it's French. Whatever, it matters not. And it will last you absolutely ages, and it really is scented. So if I suddenly fall asleep, you know why. But that's from House of Alistair, and if you are a gold member, you have a secret discount code on the gold members page where you can get 15% off this if that's what you would like. The other thing I've used, because we need that in a minute, so I'll get it back, is these recycled pellets. Now, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, and I know that you'll all have different things that you can use, but it just so happens I have these in my cupboard, so these are what I'm using. Better to use it than not, that's what I say. And a little tiny bit of toy stuffing. I mean, really that's too much, but I've got it to hand ready. So hopefully if you've already bought the pattern, or you've got the pattern from the gold page, you will perhaps have prepared your fabrics. Now, the preparation of these fabrics are key, utterly 100% key to the success of the pattern, because it's actually, you've got to be really accurate with this, and as we go along you'll see why I'm saying that. And in actual fact, in the pattern itself, I tell you about the accuracy, and it's important to get that. And like I say, you'll see as we go along, hopefully I'll get it so it's made correctly. Like I say, it has to be spot on. So if I transfer you to my desk, we've got 2 pieces of fabric prepared. Follow the pattern. And you'll need, I'm just going to show you a little bit of this, because obviously I would prefer if you bought the pattern, not try to copy. So there's a guide there of where to pleat and where to fold and where to stitch. With your main, well, this is kind of like the underside. So if we look at the one that I've made, it's this side. So I'm doing the opposite. Okay, I'm doing the opposite. And this is the top where all the little pleats are. Do you see? There's the clips are holding on to it. I'll try and get it so you can see. Who knows? But you've got this lovely, lovely design. Yeah, so I hope you make one. So on the wrong side of the square, you can I want you to draw the lines. I want you to draw the 1/4 inch line. Thank you, Abigail, that's very kind of you. But I want you to be very careful when you stitch. All of your seams are going to be a scant 1/4 inch. We'll talk about that more as we go along. On the bigger piece, I want you to actually draw on the right side of the fabric. And the lines are very obvious. There is a diagram in the pattern that you must follow, and you really must follow the pattern, and it tells you exactly where to place all your lines, the measurements and everything. And on the reverse, all I want you to do is to draw your 1/4 inch line all the way around. Now in the pattern I say to do that a little bit later on, but I wanted to sort of kind of get ahead of myself. So that's it really. So I'm very, very cautious about showing you too much, because I really want you to continue supporting me and not try to just copy and go off on your own pace. So the first thing we need to do is to actually create the pleats that are going across your fabric, and you're going across the width. You're not going down the length. That would be that you'd end up with a very, very small piece of fabric. So in the pattern, I tell you exactly where to pinch. So nothing is left to a mystery. But the main thing to consider is that you're going to do the markings on the right side of the fabric. Now that won't come natural to you. You'll want to do it on the wrong side, but we need to do the pleats on the right side of the fabric, okay? Because we get it's almost like what's the word? Like a, not a tuck. Yeah, is it French tuck? Oh, now I'm thinking like a pin tuck. That's it, a pin tuck. I knew it was something tuck. So you're going to pin your fabric like that, because now we've got pleats. Can you see on the side we've got pleats? And ideally you're going to pull that across and you're going to pin the other side. We'll just kind of go for it. And you're going to stitch on the right side. Down here you're going to follow the line by eye or draw it in, but it's got to be a scant a tuck and a roll. Yeah, preferably a roll. I'm starving. Oh, what was this? Cherry stones are good to, I believe, for keeping pins sharp. Jackie, that's such a good tip. So it tells you in the pattern what your seam allowance is, if you like, for this. But I want you to be scant. Again, I say these things for a reason. Yeah, so we're going to just carry on. We're going to just keep going on, and we're going to do the stitching. I'm going to try not to lose all my bits and bobs. It's very difficult now that the patterns are for sale, because obviously I'm limited to how much information I can give you, which is, I sometimes think, oh, it's a shame, but actually, you know, I am a small little business, and you know, it all helps, and I really appreciate you. So I'm just going from one side to the other. I'm going to pinch the other side, but please pin it so you keep it nice and straight. Don't stretch it. And you're just going to stitch along to make a pleat. And that's all a pleat is. Okay, so let me just take that pin out. And there is your pleat there. So when we open it up, you've got a lovely pleat, a tuck, pin tuck, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to actually push these over so they go to the middle, so you'll hardly see it now, but you're going to push them over, so there it is standing, and there it is pushed over, and you want it pushed over like that. But you'll do that, I don't want you to touch it with an iron, especially if you've been drawing your lines, because obviously you'll lose all your lines, and they really are your saviour. Without the lines, you will be stuck, truly. They've got to be really accurate. It's what makes the pattern really. I want you to take your time as well. There's no rush. So there you are, two lovely pleats, and like I said, they're going to go towards the middle. And if you wanted to, you could stitch them down. We might do that so it looks more obvious to you, because I absolutely don't want to put an iron on this. If you were to use a chalk, you probably wouldn't lose your lines, but I've used a heat erasable. So we'll just carry on down, and we need 4 pleats, and it says it quite clearly in the pattern. So you need 4 pleats to go across the whole thing. So just carry on and do the 3rd one. And again, there's our lovely, lovely pin tuck there, and they go to the middle. So those 2 there will go into the middle like that. Let me just try and do it so you can see. There we are. Go into the middle like that. Okay. And then the last one, I'll show you this when it's done, because there's not a really clear picture on the pattern. You see the underside of it, but you don't see it completed. It just saves on your ink. If the less pictures I do, it's better for you, really. So there's our 4 pleats, and they're all going to go into the middle. So you can press them if you want, but only if you've used like a chalk, or you could stitch them down. Like I say, you can go along and just because you want to make sure they all, let's just do that. You want to make sure that they all keep lying in the same way when you stitch this to the other part. So you could just stitch them down like that. Look, you can hardly see them now. It's lovely fabric, isn't it? The fabric is from Higgs and Higgs, of course. But if you're part of Abigail's Fat Quarter Club, I think your boxes are on their way. I might be wrong. I had to pop in the other day and I picked mine up. I got preferential treatment. Doesn't happen often. Don't think I'm spoilt, because I'm not. So let's just trim the threads off. Let's just make it nice and tidy. There we go. And the other thing I've done is on that centre line, so I don't know if you'll be able to see the crease, but I've got a little centre line there. That's a good place to start with all your measuring from the diagram. And if you, what I've done is I've snipped into that centre part, and all I've done is a snip, so it's not 1/4 of an inch, it's probably 1/8 of an inch, and I've just snipped into that, and you'll know the reason why in a little while. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my other ends in half, and I'm going to snip that as well, and I think I've already done that, but let me show you. Can you see it's snipped? I'm going to try and get it on my machine so you can see it's snipped. So I haven't got right up to the 1/4 inch mark, but I've gone far enough to make a difference when we come to stitch it together. So, so that's our piece completed. And like I said, there will come a point where if you want to, you can put the iron on that to make sure those pleats sit down. But if you have a look at mine, if I bring that one in, you can have a look at it. They do lie really flat, and like I say, you can hardly see them. They're lovely. And like I say, keep them really neat and straight. Draw the lines, draw the lines. But when you do draw the lines, just make sure that it's a scant seam that you're doing. Okay, let's just put that back up there. So that's our piece, and that should match. Let me put you on the overhead. That should match. Let me put something there while I'm doing that. That should match the other piece that you've got. It should be identical, and this is where you need it to be absolutely perfect. So if we lay this on top, now bear in mind this needs a press, so some of this will actually sort of stretch out, so don't be alarmed, but make sure that that matches. Can you see? And this will match as well, it just because it's stitched, that it's a bit like a spring. It's sort of holding it in a bit. And a good press will get that out. Anne says, if I enlarge the measurements, etc., could I make it for a jumbo clip? Well, yes, of course. I couldn't possibly give you the measurements for that because I'm not mathematically minded, funnily enough. I can do what I can do, but perhaps one of the girls can help you with that, maybe. Yeah, I mean, by all means. The jumbo clips, I've got one here. If you see the size of it, and you see the size of a little clip, right, it's quite, oh gosh, that was a good colour to choose, wasn't it? Let's get another colour. You can see the different size. In fact, let's give it a measure. So my jumbo clip is 2 1/4 inches long. My little clip is 1 inch long, but you need enough of a pleat to get, I mean, it's like a little fish, isn't it? To get some of that in there. I mean, it's not too bad, but you'd probably want, yeah. Well, have a think about it. You'll see, if you've bought the pattern, you will understand the concept. Once you understand the concept and you've got it, you know, you in your head, because it's quite, it can be a little bit confusing, you'll be well away. Yeah. So just make sure now that both squares are sitting on top of each other and they are perfect. Don't forget, because we've done the pleats, it, like I say, it kind of springs out of shape, but as long as when you pull it, or if you press it, if you dare, and they fit, then it's perfect. Okay? Okay, so now we're doing right sides together. So this is my right side. I know I've drawn on there. I may well not use that. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. There's my right side. This is my wrong side. Obviously we're doing right sides together. We've stitched down our pleats so we know that they're going to sit nicely. So what we're going to do now is that we're actually going to put this on cross purposes, okay? And in actual fact, you're going to start where we drew that line, that 1/4 inch line, because you remember I said we draw our lines. Put your pin in there on that cross, and you're going to find the halfway mark on your underneath square, and we've marked it, so we should know. And by all means draw, you see, with this fabric I can see my drawn lines through it. Okay, on this fabric I can see it. If you can't see it, then draw them in. With this pattern is key to all the drawing, trust me. So you're going to put the pin in on the seam line there, and you're just going to marry that up, okay? So that's a bit roughly done. And then you're going to stitch from that corner down to the corner here, and then you're going to pivot and turn. Now, we're going to pivot and turn. We've already got our little cut pieces here, so a little bit more. So when you come to pivot and turn, if you've snipped into your fabric like I've told you to, that will easily turn the corner, okay? And all of this is about accuracy, pivoting, snipping and turning, okay? So that has got to fit on that, okay? So let me get the machine in. Now you're going to be totally confused by this, but I will do the best I can to explain to you what I'm doing. And when I say pivot and turn, you'll know what I'm saying. So we're going to start 1/4 inch in everywhere. Okay, so it's 1/4 inch on the bottom square, 1/4 inch on the top square. I'm going to put my needle right down on that point, in fact just slightly in, and then put my foot down, and that means I've got this piece caught. I'm going to do a back stitch and off we go. Now you will have 8 segments. I know you've only got 4, but you will have 8 segments on this, and we're going to leave the last segment open for our turning. Okay, everybody happy with that? Are you keeping up? Oh dear me. So we're going to come down to the bottom corner. We're going to stop 1/4 inch away, and this is where, if you used this side, you would see the seam, but if you've drawn it on this side, you'll also see the seam. But it's just one of those things where you've got to sort of keep an eye on everything. I'm going to find my my pokey tool, because they really are a godsend. Not my pokey tool, my stiletto. I found Trisha's. If anybody wants a pokey tool with a seam ripper on the end, right, it just comes out and plugs in. If anybody wants one of them, you must message on Facebook, or rather on Messenger, Trisha Boyd, okay? And somebody might tag her, and it's Trisha that you want to order these from. She actually, her friend Maggie makes these on her lathe at home, and the wood is her own, from her own garden. So it's just so special, isn't it? Beautiful piece of almost like furniture, isn't it? It's beautiful. Anyway, so you're coming down to the bottom and you're stopping 1/4 inch away from that corner. You're going to lift up your foot, you're going to pivot. Because we've snipped into all those edges I told you to, you're just going to pivot and turn. And you might want to give it a little bit of a helping hand. It'll want to snag up a bit. So now we're coming down this the next part, and again we're going to stop on the cross, because don't forget we drew those lines. I'm just going to do one more stitch there, because sometimes your stitch length isn't quite as accurate to your drawn lines as you'd want. Let's just move it back a bit, bear with. So we're stopping on that corner, and that corner this time is this bit. And we're going to pivot that bit. We're going to swing that bit underneath, or we're going to kind of bring them together. So lift your foot up, swizzle it all around, line it all up. Make sure as you're stitching along that your corners and your markings that you've made meet up. It's really important, otherwise the whole thing will be out of kilter. So from what looks like a really easy pattern, there is a little bit of technical detail going on here. So I've come to the corner, I'm 1/4 inch away, I've lifted up my foot, and now I'm going to pivot. And I'm kind of swinging this one round and bringing the bottom one back on myself. And sometimes they go really easily, and sometimes you have to fight them a bit. If you have snipped where I've told you to snip, this will be super easy. I promise. I promise. So we're down to the second from last, maybe got two more to go. So down to that corner, lift up, pivot. Like I say, if you've snipped into your fabric, then this should be really easy. Let's just grab that fabric and move it around. Take your time, there's no rush. Stitch along again. Come to the last corner there, or the corner there, and stop at 1/4 inch. Lift up your foot, pivot. Like I say, it might want to fight you, so you tell it who's boss. And then coming down to this side here. So let's do that. Okay. So we've got one more seam to go, because I've got one whole width, if you like, of my top square left to do, and I want to leave this little section at the end here. So if I turn that around, that's what it looks like. I want to leave that little section there open for stuffing. Okay, so there's a lot of technical detail going on, but if you follow the pattern and you follow this video, you'll be fine. You'll make a smashing job of it, really, trust me. So pivot and turn, come down to that last little 1/4 inch, back stitch, break your thread. Okay, so let's just move this out of the way. So that's what we've got. Okay, it looks a bit peculiar. It looks like somewhere somebody went wrong. But I want you to have a look at something. Do you see where I pivoted and turned? Let me just do it so you can see. Just there, I've made a snip, not too far that it's gone into the stitching, but enough to be able to turn that fabric nice and neatly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just get the iron, and we're going to just iron this little piece here now. This is your moment to take all your drawn lines off, because like I said, and I can't emphasize this enough, all of those drawn lines, if you follow the grid, are really important. It's what makes the difference between a success and a fail. So there's my piece. So I'm going to just work my way around, taking the lines off. I mean, it's not crucial because you're not going to see most of them. But if we just, because the other thing, of course, we're doing is setting the seam, which will always help, because the next job will be to press the seams on the other side. So just work your way around, and you come back to where you started. So I've done all 7 sections. This is the 8th section here, which is my turn through gap. Yeah. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to fold that back, both sides. I can get hold of it. Put them together. Fold this back, fold that back. Bear with, it's a bit fiddly. There we go. I'm going to put it flat down on my mat, and I'm going to give it a press. Now what that means is when I come to stitch this, so I'm going to do a little ladder stitch to close this off. I've already got my pressed lines there of what I've done, and I've got a really now nice, lovely, lovely neat edge. Really super, that is. I'm not going to bother to trim my corners. I'm not going to worry about any of that. There's so little fabric there, it's not going to make a jot of difference. So we're just going to turn through. I'm just going to move my iron in case I catch my hand. I'll leave that mat there because this is quite a light fabric. So just use your fingers first of all, just to push those 7 corners out. If you've got any threads like that, just trim them off or pull them. They're just usually just frayed bits, aren't they? So all of these points, there's 7 of them, push out. There we are. Can you see how beautiful they look? So if you follow the guidelines that I've given you in the pattern and listen to what I say, in other words, cut, pivot, turn, cut, pivot, turn. Be your mantra now. You'll be saying it in your sleep. So there is our little funny looking shape. We've got the pleats going into the middle. And I think what I might do while I'm there, I'll just get rid of the lines and give that a little tiny press. It's such a funny shape. You've got to be careful not to squidge the sort of the points really. But that's enough. That's fine. There we go. That looks really nice. As I say, it doesn't look anything until you've stuffed it and what have you. So now I want you to get a funnel. Now, I just happen to have a dishwasher funnel here, and it just so happens to fit that hole perfectly. Look at that. Life cannot get any better than a funnel filling your hole. So because of that, that's given me a fantastic method of getting my plastic pellets and the lavender into my little piece. Okay, so we're going to do lavender first. You don't have to do lavender first. You don't have to use lavender. But honestly, if you were in my room now, well, first of all, you'd probably be asleep because it's so lavendery. But also, it's just lovely, and you could have this by your bedside. I don't know what you'd use it for, but there we are. So there we are. There's loads of lavender in there now. Could probably do with a smidge more. You don't want it too stuffed, okay? You don't want it too stuffed. Gosh, that smells nice. It smells nice. So I've kind of filled a lot of it. See, I don't know if you can see. And then I'm going to put some plastic pellets in, which gives it a little bit of weight. Okay, but not too many. You see, they're sort of sitting there, aren't they? They are. They've gone in now, and they can mix with the lavender really, really well. So look, can you see what that looks like? Now, if we were to ladder stitch this as it is now, you will lose those pellets. Those pellets will be a pain in the posterior because they'll all want to escape, like the lavender will also want to escape. So what you need to do is plug it with a little bit of toy stuffing. So call me clever if you want, but I came up with this idea because I thought, what can I do to stop the lavender coming out? And I thought, I know, a little bit of toy stuffing, because that's holding everything now in place, and it's a nice soft surface to stitch against, and yeah, it's really cool. So I'm going to now stitch the gap closed with a ladder stitch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in, because you'll want to see this up close if you've never done a ladder stitch before. So I'm just going to move the camera down, so bear with. You might get a little wriggle. So let's see if we can get you down. Bear with. Oh, and that's super. Look at that. Look at that. Right. I'm just going to get the front camera back on here again. Right. So listen, it's 7:30, and we have made it. Now, if that's not a quick Making It Monday project, I don't know what is. So I'm going to leave my mat there, because obviously this is quite light. If I did that, you might get a little bit of white reflection, so I'll keep my mat there. So this is like the 7th side. So I want you to have a look. This is one side, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and sorry, this is the 8th side, yeah? So I'm going to just pinch them together. I've got a single piece of thread on my needle, nice embroidery needle I've got there, and I'm going to put my thread up between the folds. Do you remember we did the iron job, and we made those folds? So just tuck that tail in. Hold on. Okay, so you can't see the knot because that's in the fold. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to jump across to the white, if I call it white and pink. So I'm jumping across to the white, and I'm just sliding my needle. Ideally you're going to do this just on the inside. The first couple of stitches is just a little tricky because you're right near the seam. So you go into the fold. You need a sharp needle, by the way, otherwise you'll struggle like me. Into the fold, and you're making a 2mm stitch there, and you're just bringing your needle out. You're jumping across to the pink, and you're doing about 2mm in that fold. Okay, can you see that okay? And you're pulling your needle out. Then you're jumping across again. All the time you want to make sure that you've still got those edges sitting nicely. So hold it nicely. So now put your needle in, and this is where, look, you can see I'm going in the fold on the inside. See if I can do it so you can see. On the inside of the of little clippy. So you don't want any stitches on the outside, not if you can help it. And the idea of a ladder stitch is that you get that sort of design. So then you're hopping across to the other side, putting your needle in, you're putting your needle along that fold about 2mm. It would be slightly bigger if you were making a slightly bigger project. But and I don't want to lose any plastic chips, okay, or lavender. So I want this closure to be fairly small, or the stitches fairly small. So you're just jumping across, sliding your needle along the fold, jump across, slide your needle along the fold, and like I say, look, you can see what's happening. You don't need to tighten the stitches up, not till the end. It depends, but just don't go gung-ho. And what I mean by that is when you pull up the stitches, don't do it really tight. You don't force it, because you've only got one strand of thread here, and it will break if you're a bit gung-ho, a bit heavy-handed, I suppose. So keep it neat. So now, if you think that hand stitching is not for you, by golly, I know exactly what you mean. Just bung this under the sewing machine and put it under the needle of the machine. Nobody's going to tell you off, I promise. I certainly won't. And maybe that's easier for you, but it's just nice sometimes to have a hand stitch. Now look, I want to show you something, because this is really important. Coming along there talking to you, instead of going into the fold, I've actually done a stitch on the outside. Now that's not really very good because we don't want to see it, but I'll leave it because first of all it's good to see a mistake, and I would have to unthread my needle and undo that little bit there. But that's what I mean about stitching in the fold of the fabric. So you're kind of stitching on the inside, and then when you come to the end, well, I'm not bothered. Just do a few sort of over and over stitches just to catch it. And then once it's stitched, you can see it looks a bit rough. Just pull those stitches up. Be careful, and that is your stitching done. I could have done some more little stitches there, but anyway, it makes an invisible finish. And then right at the very end, and I would keep this tiny, a few little kind of like slip stitches, aren't they? Over and over. I always call them over and over stitches. It's just like a back stitch. It's funny, if you've grown up with certain phrases, you can't forget. And that's enough. Don't go mad about it. Just a few nice little stitches. And I could have done a few more there, but there we are. So that's it made. And you can see, if I bring these little clips in, that's what the pleats are for. And you can do one side, whoopsie, you can do one side and then one the other, like that, if you want. Do what you like, it's yours now. But you've got these 4 little points on the top, and then when you flip it over, you've got these 4 little points on the back. But that's plain. Call that lavender smells. This is the you know, the pattern side, and then when you look at the one that I made, it's the reverse of that one, okay, because these are obviously where the pleats are. So hopefully that has given you a little bit of inspiration. And we're so early. We're so early. I can't believe that. If you want to stay around, I'll do a quick project that I did with the gold group the other day. They won't mind me showing you, I'm sure. Let's just, excuse me, let's get rid of this. Oops. Does anybody want to see another quick project? It's like I know you're going to say yes, of course. But seriously, if you want to go, because that is the Making It Monday project finished. Don't forget to get your lavender from House of Alistair. He's done a really good deal for the Gold Club members. So if you're a Gold Club member, go and check out where the discount code is. Gemma says yes, please, yes, please. Listen, if you're a Gold member, you'll have seen this last week. But I'll do it again. It's only because I like you. I'm feeling generous. I'm just clearing my decks. It's because I need to do some cutting. So if I bring up my rotating mat, hold on, let's make sure it's locked. This mat is on my Amazon shop. It's fabulous because, do you see, when it's got a lock on it, you can't swivel it, but when you unlock it, when you push those two little clips in, it then swivels. Obviously I can't do this mid-air, but it swivels. Oh, you can't see it, but it does. Oh, actually have I lost the bottom of it? Therewith. Hold on. I knew there was something missing. I'd lost its bottom. Let's do that again. If you get one of these, and it's not very expensive at all, it's a 12.5 inch cutting mat. Yes, it's got this locking device here, right? So this won't swivel. When you unlock it, it means you can swivel it. Look, ooh, I knew I was going to do that. That's the idea of it locking, so it doesn't actually then swivel. So real quick, I need some fabric. Oop. We'll use the same fabric again, seeing as how it's handy. We did this the other day, guys and gals, in the gold group. So let me just switch my camera over. You'll see my blue mat, and then I'm going to zoom you out a little bit. So you might wriggle, so bear with if you wriggle. Okay, not bad. Right, so we need 5 5-inch squares. This can be any size you like. This can be any size you like. But we'll do 5-inch. And I'll layer up my fabric so it doesn't take too long to cut. So those of you that are in the gold group, you can go if you want. Class dismissed. And but for the Making It Monday group, this is just an extra special. So we want a 5-inch square. So we need 4. So I'm going to cut 2. Oops. I'll just trim that. Bear with. So I haven't prepared it, so you'll have to put up with me faffing. Swivel that around. Put my 5-inch corner on here. Just there. Oh, you can't quite see. Hold on. My 5-inch corner is there. It's got a 5 there, so you can see it. This is my 7.5-inch square ruler, which is just awesome, and I use it all the time. So let's just cut that. So we need to do that again. So bear with. See if we can get this lined up. Not bad. Not bad. It's worth it. It's worth it, I promise. That's not too bad. Right, it's 5-inch square again. So I'm coming off, you can see I've got my selvage there, so I'm coming off that selvage. It's not brilliantly lined up, but it'll be fine. Okay, so there's, because I'm not standing over the top of it. I want that pink again in a minute. Swivel it around and then get the 5-inch. Do you see that 5-inch mark? If you've got that 5-inch sitting just exactly there, you know that you've got a 5-inch square going on. And then we're just going to chop it away there. There we go. So in fact, no, I don't need another square, do I? I'm thinking it's 5. I don't, I only need 4. Right, so get your ironing mat, which is over here. Let me get you, so you've got my ugly mush in the corner. And I'll just turn my iron down. Because this is Rose and Hubble fabric, it's actually quite delicate. It's not like a quilting cotton. So I've turned my heating down to medium. So with one of my squares, I'm just going to fold it diagonally and press it. Next one, fold it diagonally and press it. Third one. So this is wrong side to wrong side. Okay, I'm not going to say press it again because you get the gist. And then again. There we go. So just make sure they're all nicely pressed because it does make a difference. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of weave them. Now you might well have already seen this sort of technique before. And the secret is to, well, and I discovered this last week, is to make sure that the folded edge goes into the middle. So this is your folded edge, this is your folded edge, and all of your raw edges are, did I do that as a, I'm just thinking, sure, yeah, I think I'm okay with this. I'm just thinking, did I do something different to this? One of the goldies are watching. Just tell me if I'm doing this right. So I'm pinning those 2 layers together. And now I want the swatty one. So with that one, don't forget folded edges go to the middle. So that one's going to sit on top like that. You know when you think that can't be right? Let me just get the one that I did. Bear with. Oh yeah, I do need another square. I'm going mad, I tell you. Then you're lining up these raw edges that go along here. Don't forget your folded edges go into the middle. That's your mantra for this one. And I'm just pinning these together. And now the last one, you need to kind of do a tuck it under. So again, folded edges go to the middle. And you can pin this one to hold it. Okay, and then this one goes under this one. So you're kind of doing a weave with it. But just make sure, look at that, just make sure that your points are sitting on top of each other. Otherwise, it just won't be accurate enough. Sometimes we have to do things accurately. It's not often you'll hear me say, you must do it this way, or please be careful because you need to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. And this is a similar thing. Try and make sure that all your points are sitting on top of each other and you get a beautiful piece like that. So we need another, just looking at my stash. We need another piece. So I'll use my white with a pink spot. So we need to cut another 5-inch square. So let's do that. Like I say, all this fabric that I'm using is my new fabric from Higgs & Higgs. So if you like it, go and buy it. I'm not on commission, I don't get anything for it. So, but it's just, oh, I can't keep cutting that corner. But it's just lovely to support, you know, your regular businesses. It's nice to support, you know, the shopping channels. But also it's nice to support your regular business. So again, make sure that that 5 is sitting right in that corner there. That's your benchmark. You really want points of that to be absolutely spot on, and just make sure all of this is parallel and sitting absolutely cute as a button. So just to recap, you need one background piece, one under piece, one backing piece, 5 by 5. You need 4 beautiful pattern pieces, 5 by 5 folded diagonally, and then you're putting right sides together like that. Okay, now although I've pinned the underneath, okay, you can just about see the pins, I'm not going to transfer all those pins, it would just take too much time, and it's only 10 to 8 and I'm going to get this done in about 3 seconds flat. So so let me bring in my machine, just move all my bits and bobs. There we go. Now if you're wondering, if you're wondering what this mat is, this is a mat to make for your sewing machine to sit on your desk, and actually mine is obviously at a funny angle because of how I have to sit to demonstrate, but it's got the pockets there, so when it goes over the table everything hangs down really nicely, but I can never have mine like that because of the fact that I demonstrate, and this is called Frankie and it's on my website, and it's just the most exquisite little pattern. And also, if you were doing Abigail's binding course, our masterclass today, she talked about self-binding. Well, Frankie has been made using the self-binding method, where the backing fabric has been brought over to the front to create your binding, and it's ever so easy because then you just machine stitch it down. There's no hand stitching on Frankie at all, it's all machine stitching, and yet look at that, it looks so neat. And just a little bit of quilting just to pad it all out. So right sides together, or at least there isn't really a right side to your pattern piece, that is the same back and front. And then all you're going to do, you're going to stitch all the way round, so there's no turning gap. You're going to stitch all the way around. Just make sure you don't stitch over your pins, and B, you go 1/4 inch, you catch all those layers. Really nice, easy little make as a little bonus extra. I know, I spoil you rotten. Take your pins out, keep adjusting if you need to. So don't forget, if you want the Making It Monday project for tonight, it's A2. It's on the website under the MIM 2022 tab. It's only £1, and if you can still keep supporting me, that would be absolutely marvellous. Keeps us all going. And then, like I say, you're going all the way round. All right, all the way round, no turning gap, no turning gap. And the other thing is, if you want to trim these corners off, please do. I'm not. So now all you're going to do is turn it right side round. Now, when you first look at it, you think, hold on a minute, that's the right side. You're right. But if you turn it round, and like I say, you can cut those corners off if you want. And just make sure you poke those out. And what I'm aiming for actually is a rounded corner, because this is a coaster. I don't want sharp corners on it. It's not a quilt, it's not an exhibition piece. I actually want it to be rounded. Hold on, let's get it sorted. But that's up to you. You might want to do the perfect corners, in which case, fill your boots. I'm just making this look really complicated now, but you're literally pushing it through. Push those corners out. You could get your pokey tool in there if you want to, just to make it easy on yourself, and give it a little wriggle, and there you are. Obviously it needs a press, but that is your little coaster mat. So if we put it under the iron, let's do that so it looks nice. Let's hold on. Let's just get you on the overhead. my little mat. And some best press. Not too much. Doesn't need a lot. And all you're going to do, and I want these corners rounded. Like I say, you might not want to, but I want them rounded. But just make sure they're nicely rounded and just wriggle those side seams a little bit. And that could do with a push out. So let me just get my tool in there. So be careful, especially with this sort of fabric, because this is a really delicate fabric. It's like a polycotton, really, and probably that's what it is. I'm not a fabric snob. So if I love the fabric, I don't really mind what it is. Those quilters among you will be gasping now that I've just said that. But you know, you can make fabric more stable with our fantastic stabilizers that there are on the market, or not. But there we are. That's a lovely, lovely little coaster made. Really sweet little project, isn't it? Little extra one for you there. And that's the back, obviously, and that's the front. Now, there's no wadding in that at all. So if you wanted to, you could just pop a little bit of wadding inside there, like a bit of thermal wadding, if you're going to put a hot coffee cup on there. But there we are. That is Making It Monday. My goodness me, 4 minutes to go. We did well tonight, didn't we? So you've had 2 projects tonight, which is great. That's not normally the case, is it? Because normally we fill up the hour. So so what we need to do is go to lizzycurtis.com, go to the shop, do the drop down, look for MIM 2022 and look for A2 project, which is a course called Clippy. And this is the picture that you're looking for. There's only 2 pictures on there at the moment. By the end of the year, there will be over 50. But that's the project you're looking for. And I hope you enjoy it. And like I say, it's only £1. So that's it for another week. Next week, we've got a real treat because we have another sort of designer, well, not sort of, a designer coming in. She has designed a lovely, lovely little project. It's the perfect MIM, it really is. And it's from Nola. So Nola is going to have a week of fame of, and she only lives up the road to me, and I must go and see her for coffee, that'd be nice. But it's Nola's pattern next week. And then obviously me the week after. Also, don't forget to go to Abigail's website, abicrafts.com, and get your ticket for La La Land, because we're now getting to the stage where we're going to start head counting a bit, because we've got some really good numbers coming in now. And that's just in case I forget who I am. So don't forget to go and buy your ticket for La La Land, and we look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, have a lovely evening. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is not a lot really. I'm just going to go and have a glass of sherry, and I'll see you all again soon. I'll see you on my workshop on Sunday. I forgot to say I'm running a workshop on Sunday. There's a few more tickets still left, so go and have a look at that. That's on the Zoom workshops on my website. So I'll see those ladies then. I'll see the other ladies at the Cozy Cabin for a proper real life with real people workshop on Saturday. That's completely sold out, which I'm really pleased about. In the meantime, I'll see you Thursday in the Gold Group or next Monday on MIM. Bye everybody.